called Willful Slaves. Yeah, I know. I know that I'm fundamentally different from all the people that surround me. Even though looking at me, most can never tell that I'm different from any of the rest. And I'm really getting sick and tired of people telling me that I'm supposed to be doing my best to fit into this world full of clowns and jesters. And people so ridiculous mine can't even register, who then despite it are put on these giant pedestals, as if over us we wish for them to rule. And then down we bow to their feet as if we could never guide our own lives in order to achieve the goals that we seek. But no, I refuse to ever live my life as one of these mindless drones. And I never once wish for someone to find me here scared and alone, despite what you may have been told by those who seem to think they understand the mind that I hold, thinking it's so much darker and colder than you could ever behold. But I'm not broken, and I don't need to be fixed. I'd rather lay down and take a beating of 1,000 blows and kicks, because no matter what you put me through, I'll never lose touch with the person I have chosen to be. In this world, don't you see, to change who you are to fit in with these views and standards of people you have no stronger relationship to than a victim and a bystander. You must be a fool not to realize that your soul will be used as a tool to achieve these goals far more cruel than you could ever imagine. That you're being led down a path you chose, one of evil and carnage. Being led to believe it's a path of fantasies full of knights and dragons where you're holding the sword and evil's bowing down to your feet. You're being led to believe this is the path you need to follow to be everything you ever wanted to be. You end up living a life of willful ignorance, blissful on acknowledgement, because you refuse to accept the truth that's right in front of you, plain as day. You refuse to listen to what that voice in the back of your head has to say. But of course you do. They don't want you to believe that the world isn't all black and white. After all, that's how they continue to keep your leash tight. Keep you from questioning their views and their orders. Keep you submissive in all they do so you never seek out the truth. Then you just continue to ignore the in-between, refusing to acknowledge the middle ground. They keep you this way so you never deviate from going along with the choice that everyone else is going to make. So you never even question going along with the choice that's better for everyone else's sake. But to honestly hold such a truth in the core of your being, to really believe that the world only has the two extremes of black and white that you're capable of seeing, you're giving up something a person should never lose. The ability to differentiate between right and wrong, lies and the truth. You lose the right to live by your own views and instead are enslaved by the ideas of those you allow to control what you believe to be true. Your life becomes little more than a game for these people to manipulate in order to gain the power that's at stake. And you yourself nothing more than a pawn in this game of pros and cons. This game where we're all stranded in the middle. Every single one of us balancing the scales, too afraid to take a single step in one direction or the next in order to tip this scale in favor of a choice. In fear of the resulting noise. The noise generated by all of those who have an opinion besides our own. This noise that we fear because we overlook all of those who will follow us and keep our ideas in hand and listen instead to those who refuse and swear that upon our graves they'll dance. So we're sealed in place by this fear, frozen in time, surrounded by obstacles we couldn't climb, until someone supposedly bigger and better comes along and tells us to just make up our mind, after which everyone just seems to gravitate to their chosen side, and I end up stranded in the middle all alone, as if the only one who decided to follow a different road, when all I ever really decided to do was take a moment to think on my own before following the orders of someone I didn't even really know. But don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to criticize. I understand the difficulties of living your own life, and I know it's so much easier to go with everyone else's side, because then at least we know we won't be alone when we take the first stride. You see, they say the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. But how can we ever move 1,000 miles in the correct direction if every single one of us is waiting for someone else to take the first step, so that we can all just move right along with the rest and avoid individual detection? It's like people will soon gather together and shout about the same thing leaving the mouth of the person that's in front of them and so much as whisper their own individual thought. For the fear that they'll lose the shield of anonymity that you get from repeating the same words over and over again for an eternity, because they become so worn out and overused that when spoken, people only hear what they choose and ignore all else that doesn't coincide with their own views. People end up addicted to these ideas that they can barely understand, to these notions of absolute prosperity, to the act of destroying any and all ideas with opposing polarities. Because honestly, no one wants you to think for yourself. They want you lost in the fog so they can continue to keep you under control like an obedient dog. I mean, in reality, we're all being taught like dogs to obey. And over our entire lives, we're trained to be willful slaves.